A lot of people look at meditation and the activities around meditation as selfish. It is the opposite of selfish. Self is the place where you start any quest for truth or goodness or beauty. If you chance to look in the Gnostic Gospels, you know, those Gospels of Jesus that didn't quite make it into the final edited version of the Bible, all of those Gospels have Jesus saying in one way or another, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Not, the kingdom of heaven can only be reached if you set up a church. Big difference. There's no need for a church. But unlike the sham oracle of Delphi, the madwoman spouting gibberish, and the meaningless astrology speak the priests issued, unlike the sound and fury of music, thoughts, words, and unlike the myriad sources of information in our lives, papers, books, signs, TVs, phones, answer phones, message banks, emails, faxes, text messages, and on, in this place, such silence here. Arguably, we need such a place today even more than those who built the place did. Arguably more than they did. Alain de Botton, in his book Status Anxiety, reminds us that in the 4 centuries between 1130 and 1530 in the towns and cities of Europe, over 100 cathedrals were erected. They provided an environment where people from every walk of life could gather and think about what were some highly unusual ideas about the value of sadness and innocence, meekness and pity. The unique function of cathedrals was to empty the mind of egoistic projects and lead it toward God and His love. People could, on seeing the outline of these giant structures dwarfing everything else in the city, they could remind themselves of a vision of life which challenged the authority of ordinary ambitions. However ramshackle their own physical dwellings might be, the cathedral was where they belonged at heart. Its beauties reflected their inner worth. Now, obviously, where we are is no cathedral. But there's a reason for that. Interestingly, places like the one we're sitting in, strictly speaking, meeting houses and not churches, grew up in the wake of that great age of cathedrals during the Protestant Reformation. It seemed to people that the very theatricality of cathedrals seemed to be trying too hard, protesting too much. Their earthly glory seemed to be at odds with the simplicity preached by Christ. Many had begun to question the truth the cathedral embodied, and so came to favor stripped down, icon-free places without smells, bells, choirs, or light shows. In doing so, Protestantism, with exceptions, did away with our old notion of ritual space. Humans, since the dawn of time, have needed a ritual liminal space. Inside such spaces, both space and time become changed. Only in such spaces could spiritual change or transformation happen. Only there can we empty out our daily, sloppy, dull selves, where we try to satisfy our longings and fill our emptiness. But in ritual space, we learn to experience the emptiness or the longing and not try to fill it. This, my friends, where we are, is a ritual space. It is a liminal space. A place like this is designed to give you only what you need and nothing more, because the real show is inside you, not outside you. And that is true. It is so true. Externalize your desires. That is, have your desires exist outside of yourself. And you'll always be frustrated. You'll always be depressed. You'll always be chasing something. You will always feel insignificant compared to the scope of your desires. But if you can find that within you that is of great value, and know that you already have it, have had it for a long time, and can never lose it, well, what's worth envying more than peace of mind? A space like ours, I say, is set up to do precisely this, to have you meet yourself. And silence is important to that. First, know thyself. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. And don't look into books for answers like this. There were enlightened people before there were books. And for God's sake, no, for your sake, don't look up here. Because if you're here for ideas, go read a book. If you're here for an emotional experience, go listen to some great music. And if you're here for neither thoughts nor emotions, you're here for entertainment. And even now, absent Daphne, absent the CD player, even now I feel I must do something up here, pull a rabbit out of a hat. But guess what? I need this space too. I need its silences as much as I need its words, its notes, its thoughts. Maybe I need the silence more than I need that. See, I like to find that quiet place of just being, because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, I get the sense that it's more than my ordered mental organism that produces a consciousness. Sometimes, when I meditate, I get the sense that there is something more than just my psychology at work. Sometimes, when I meditate, I get the sense that the Buddhists are wrong and it's the Hindu, which is, by the way, the world's oldest developed religion. It's the Hindus that were right all along. That at the deepest level of pure consciousness, we connect to everything. Or maybe that's just my mind telling me it is. No matter. I like to keep open that possibility, that tension between alternate and conflicting hypotheses. It's just my mind. It's something larger than my mind. For that, I think, is where the Unitarian ideal lives, in that tension between alternate and competing hypotheses, in the honest hope that by avoiding baloney, we might someday get to the truth. And that if we can't know the truth, we won't at least be deluding ourselves. And if nothing else, learning to become pure listening awareness helps us listen to the needs of others, as Ram Dass said in the reading. It makes us more able to be open to other people if we can adopt a quiet, listening mind. And for all that, silence is not just, an interesting diversion. Silence is absolutely required if we're to know ourselves, if we're to let the still, small voice that is within us speak to us, if it's ready to. So, we're lucky we're here in this particular space. We're lucky to have the particular quality of silence this space affords. And we're lucky to be able to do this knowing we're not alone in coming to meet ourselves. I've just talked for 15 minutes about something we can do rather than spend our normal hymn singing time doing. We have this opportunity today. So, who's in? About 10 minutes of silence, I think. See you on the other side.